However, the wreath of the 5th century and the history of Armenian literature overall belongs to Movses Khorenati for his invaluable work of Armenian history. The Armenian literature was written on parchments as well as on the walls of Armenian monasteries and stone monuments. We learn from Korun, Movses Khorenati, Ghazar Parpeti, and others that the first book translated was the Bible. First, the birth was translated from Aramaic. Then, translations were carried out from Assyrian. However, the final, complete, and edited version of the Bible was translated from Greek. The world's leading philologists have recognized this work as one of the best translations of the Bible. Due to the translations, and as a direct effect of this period, the Armenian literature was born. The Armenian literature developed in historical, philosophical, scientific, and spiritual directions. The poetry of Sahak Partev, Mesrop Mashtots, and the hymns of others with their music have a unique place in the Armenian literature. Today, after 1600 years, the same hymns are sang in the Armenian church with very minor modifications. Together with the early Christian and hagiological literature, novel genres develop as well. The quality of this genre was equal to that of the poetry. The best representatives of this genre is the introduction part of the Armenian history of Dafta, which is a narrative about sailors. The praise chants of Tigran the Great by Khorenati, as well as his lamentations and vibrant and rich excerpts from Byzantine and Ghazar Parpeti's comparatively more traditional works. The Armenian Library of Ancient Manuscripts is a testament of the high quality of the Armenian literature in the 5th century. This is one of the largest libraries in the world, holding 20,000 old manuscripts. Despite the large immigration waves, the destructive path of the Turkish tribes, who destroyed tens of thousands of Armenians and non-Armenians, manuscripts for 500 years, and in doing so eliminated whole cultures, today there are 25,000 Armenian manuscripts found around the world. The oldest of these manuscripts dates back to the 6th to 7th century. These manuscripts contain information about history, literature, medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and artistic literature, basically everything that the human intellect created in the last 1500 years. Among these manuscripts, there are also translations of Greek, Roman, Assyrian, Arabic, and other sources which have not been preserved in their original language. The end of the 5th century marked the beginning of the Armenian Middle Ages literature. Armenian literature during this period went through the burst of creativity until the commencement of the Renaissance period. This time period gave birth to globally renowned figures in the field of literature and the sciences like Anania Shirakatsi in the 7th century, Grigor Narekatsi in the 9th century, Grigor Magistros in the 11th century, Nahabet Kuchak in the 14th century, and many others. One of the great figures of the 6th to 7th centuries is the famous poet and songwriter Catholicos Gomitas. His hymns are still a major part of the mass services of the Armenian Apostolic Church. He was the first to use different forms of acrostic poetry in the Armenian literature, which left a great impact on the writers of the coming centuries. An outstanding literary figure of the 7th century is the historian Sebio, whose book of history is an account of the history of Armenia from the origins of the Armenian nation until the 7th century. Despite the simplicity of the classical Armenian language used, The novel is of high-quality writing. The Armenian history is narrated with detailed descriptions, beautiful scenes, and powerful imagery, which is typical of Sevio's style. Dafta Kerto is a great poet of the 7th century. His Morning of Jivanshir poem is preserved completely in the book of Moses Karankatsvetsu's History of the Caucasian Albania. This poet is described as resourceful and creative, greatly skilled in the art of poetry, and the language he uses is rich and flexible. This is the first literary criticism which we encounter in the history of the Armenian literature.